Hello there, and welcome to another edition of the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washett here as we are edging up to the end of spring practice as the Huskers will be done with 12 practices on Thursday, and really just 2 more left to go before the big April 26th, don't call it a garage sale, combine extravaganza.
Wow.
Okay, I'm kidding. But we don't know what
Not kidding.
We don't know what April 26th is going to be.
You don't.
It's going to be a garage sale and it's going to be an extravaganza. You're going to be fielding punts in your short pants.
Is that locked in?
I mean, I got to get out of the – we have first communion for my daughter in the morning, so it's going to be a –
well, you better wear shorts.
It's going to be a quick turn to get from 84th and Yankee Hill out of my suit and tie down to the stadium.
Yeah, pack a gym bag. So you're gonna have to change.
Gym bag. You can change in the press box.
I can change in the press box, but
because you're gonna be fielding punts. Don't worry too much about reporting on that day.
All right, couple things, opening headlines as we like to call it. I want to hit on. I want to talk about the spring in general, but the portal did open as well this week. It's a shortened window, and I think there's a few prongs to look at this from. Number one, like the drama. How much more of the Nico stuff are we going to see? And where that all goes, that's the big national story by a wide margin. My money still is on UCLA. I think UCLA will drive the price down, and they'll end up getting them. That's my prediction.
What do you think they'll pay?
Probably closer to $1 million.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
I didn't realize there was a connection with what was his brother that was committed to UCLA and then flipped to Arkansas at the 11th hour. So, I wonder if that is going into their negotiation where, maybe they would increase their payment a little bit, but because of what happened previously with another member of that family, their willingness to negotiate probably isn't as high as it used to be.
Well, there's probably not a long list of boosters that are willing to want to write a big check for a guy like this.
No, his leverage is diminished significantly at this point.
It's a 30 for 30. When they do this thing on ESPN, it will you'll want to watch it. But other stuff, obviously from Nebraska, who will go in, and the only entry today was Hardly Gilmore went in on the opening day, and we already know he had left the team. I still think you're going to see a few others that are probably lower profile players.
A few,
but nothing. I mean, you never say never, but you're not hearing much as far as major entries go.
How much of that is going to just be dependent on what happens the rest of the spring? Is there anything that can happen between now and the 26th that could alter people's decision, that could potentially contribute to how many total entries we see when all said and done?
I don't know. It just sounds like, Holgerson Dana sort of addressed that the other day when he goes, I don't know why anybody'd go in. Everybody we got has a fair shot. They're all getting practice reps. He goes, they're all treated well. He said every day you can get something out of this place if you try. But I think what you're getting at mainly is what he said at the outset, which is everybody's getting reps. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got a fair shot. There's nobody that doesn't. And I think that's all. Most kids are that's all they really ask for.
Well, then I pair that with what Matt Rule said about how transparent he's going to be. And if there's guys that the writing's on the wall, you're probably not going to be a starter, is that going to influence somebody's decision? With that transparency comes sometimes you telling players things they don't want to hear, and it could potentially lead to decisions being made.
But you may not have a spot somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Mm-hmm. I do think a spring portal entry is far less attractive than a December portal entry.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Come on. I just don't, for everything we're hearing, I don't want to play babe in the woods here. I don't think there's anybody significant going in. If it is, Rob, it'll be a surprise. When I say significant, I mean a starter or even rotation guy.
A 2-deep guy.
Yeah. Hey, Sean, do you see a 2-deep guy going in?
You just never know what kind of money or something could happen to.
But right now, as we sit here,
Dante Dowdell, I never would have thought he'd go in, but then somebody got to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's what you.
Somebody came with some outlandish money. It makes you wonder, when we were sitting there on Saturday and Matt Rule started talking about Grant Segrin, who's a sophomore walk-on tackle, and he's playing left tackle. And he was saying he could be a starter, or he could become, at least he said he could become a starter. I'm sitting there thinking, I like this. This is a great. I'm happy for Grant Seagren. And I wonder, though, if there's some teams watching this or will hear about it and say, wait a second, he's at what? He's at tackle? And he could start at Big Ten teams. Mm-hmm. I'd be, if I was a head coach, I might be a little more hesitant now to go down that path.
Or you just overplay or overhype like guys that you don't really have to worry as much about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I think Seagren would be someone, he wasn't hyping him. I think he was just saying legitimately, this kid's good. And legitimately, I would add to the conversation, he's not going to start at Nebraska this year because it's going to be Elijah Pritchett. So maybe someone would swoop in and say, hey, we'll pay you. We'll pay you a lot if you're that good.
Yeah, but how can you tell? How would you know?
You would just know off what the head
going off
said.
of. Yeah. I mean, that'd be a hell of an assumption.
Mm-hmm. Unless you could get your hands on
something. I mean, I think what you're saying is like a South Dakota or somebody.
Oh, yeah. I'm not talking about Oklahoma.
Iowa. I mean, it's like, wait a minute here.
No.
Babe.
No. I'm talking about lower. Like
all right.
What about a Toledo or something like that?
Maybe. Rule doesn't say things with just to say them. Like everything's deliberate there. So either he was trying to send a message to Seagren, like maybe, hey, you got an opportunity to kick it up a notch, or maybe he's kind of laying out some other feelers out there, to open up some doors. You never know. But I guarantee you, he didn't just say it just on a whim.
God,
he doesn't do anything on a whim.
No, most head coaches don't. That's true.
Now
I was playing, a little babe in the woods over here on that one.
Now, as far as like what they might add from the portal, I think we all agree defensive line. Somebody on the chat this week asked us who are the 7, and I think you can come up with 6 pretty easily on the D line, and Mason Goldman's probably the 7th.
Or is Ashton Murphy the 7th?
It'd be Goldman.
Okay.
I think Murphy is still.
Let's just do it. 6. Elijah Judy, Cam Lenhart,
Van Poppel,
Jalen George,
Davis.
Van Poppel,
Keona Davis.
Yeah, there's 6 that are pretty easy to get to. Then I think you would probably go to Goldman as the 7th.
What about Williams Nwaneri?
And Nwaneri's in that group too. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
He's in there.
Yeah, Judy, Lenhart, George, that's 3. Davis is 4. Van Poppel is 5. And then Nwaneri is 6. And then I would say Goldman would be my 7th.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the thing. Can you find somebody that would be good enough to be with that group? That's the question. Now, another portal entry happened as we were getting ready to tape this show today with local ties, with proven production, proven stats. Shamar Brown, goes by Marty Brown, former Omaha Creighton Prep running back at North Dakota State, was the first 1,000-yard back the Bison have had in almost 10 years. Was the FCS Freshman of the Year, won the Jerry Rice Award, had 15 touchdowns. He's a 218-pound listed roster back now at North Dakota State. I mean,
come on now.
I'm no detective here.
Come on now.
But he fits a lot of needs that Nebraska would have. I know Quentin Ives is getting a lot of hype, but would Quentin Ives have gone to the FCS ranks and be the National Freshman of the Year? I don't think so.
I don't know, but they almost have to be aware of this kid,
right? They know who he is. I mean, he played with Sam Sledge and the Bullocks. I mean, so they are very familiar with Shamar Brown.
How much attention is he going to get? Where do you think he'll go?
Well, I can tell you right now, he's getting Miami and Indiana and teams like
that.
Not
Miami of Ohio,
the Hurricanes,
the U.
But there has been interest from teams immediately.
Sean, this could be a huge story.
You know who
needs a running back?
I mean,
Iowa though. Iowa.
No, I'm talking about what's on your chest over there. What's it say?
Husker.
Yeah. I mean, they need a running back, right? Am I wrong?
I mean, I think this one would make a lot, depending on what the market gets up to, but this one would make a lot of sense.
Would he press for number 1?
He's 5'11", 218 pounds, had 15 rushing touchdowns for a national championship team.
Miami's coming after him. Indiana's coming after him. It's not a crazy question to ask. Would he press for number 1 at Nebraska?
Or would it be a complimentary part to Emmett?
Right. I mean, we're not talking about your 6-string guy.
He's good too. I mean, I and I'll never forget Brian Munson was so high on this guy in high school, and he could not figure out for the life of him why he wasn't getting more attention. Mm-hmm. But this is kind of like what Robin sees in basketball. You have to go to these Dakota schools, Summit League schools, and in football, it's Missouri Valley, and do what he's doing. And all of a sudden you're this coveted prospect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Once you have proven college experience, suddenly your stock skyrockets as opposed to doing really well, especially in Nebraska high school level.
5'11", 218. Big 10 back.
That'll play.
It's Big 10 back.
Yeah. If you're a rule though, it's a tough conversation because if you do this, you probably lose a guy.
Yeah.
Do you though? Do you?
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, because I think you would sell the one way you can do it. Doesn't have to be a threatening conversation. We can have sort of a threatening conversation but we're just media guys. You just say what you always say, guys. We're always bringing guys in to compete. What are you scared of? I mean, we're going to bring guys in. We're always going to bring guys in.
I think
now, if you're not doing that, then you're not doing your job. I mean, come on. That right? If you're scared of guys leaving because you're bringing in competition, you're never going to beat Ohio State.
Well, and those guys are guys that are afraid to compete.
Right.
And that's how I view it. Like if bringing in somebody at your position chases you off, that means you're scared to compete and win your job. So
then what are we doing?
Go find somewhere else.
Right.
That'd be how I look at it.
And if you can't, as a coach, be worried, oh God, if we bring this guy in, we might lose some. Well, I mean, then that guy wasn't the right guy.
Exactly.
Think of the live reps too he's already received. And we've talked, I know your co-host Bill Bush talks about this, like that level of football at the highest FCS, it's beautiful football.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's highly executed football.
It is. I watched him against Colorado, North Dakota State. That was a ball game.
I mean, they execute. They play at a high level. So that's one to watch. And I don't think anybody would bat an eye if Nebraska figured
bat an eye. They'd be excited.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that's where Matt Rule and the new general manager have a tough job to make these types of decisions.
Yep. I mean, I guess, would it be a tough job if that kid wanted to come here?
Without knowing the money, it's hard to know without knowing the money.
Right.
What, you got the money?
What's that market look like?
But if you can still get all this done before July 1st. So how much of this can you get out off your rev share books and have some NIL support from the collective before the July 1st deadline?
Yeah. What's the number? I mean, with the number, is this situation one where the number would be a problem, do you think?
If he is like one of the top players available in the portal at that position, he's gonna have a market. So
yeah. And if you're paying him like an RB1, well,
right.
What does Emmett think about that?
It gets sticky. It can.
Yeah, a proven productive back, Marty Brown at North Dakota State, Creighton Prep product, played at Sam Sledge, played at the Bullock brothers.
Watch it.
Got
to watch this one close.
All right. When we come back, we're going to talk more offensive storylines out of the spring. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. And we're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washut, the segment of the Husker Online Show brought to you by Mando. And let me tell you, Sipple got his his restock of Mando, and he's been a new man.
That's probably an exaggeration, but I got the spray, and that's the key. And the spray is the key. The body wash is probably number 2. The stick is strong. Like, again, I say the same thing all the time. It's amazing to me. I'll double wear a shirt sometimes, and I'll pull it off and go, why do I need to throw this in the laundry when it smells this good? And I've never had.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, I've never had deodorant that keeps your shirt smelling this good. Sounds ridiculous, but it's true.
It reduces and prevents sweat. It's 100% natural. It's organic. It's fragrance oil free. Dermatologist recommended. So when you look at it, yeah, it's a great product. And if you've never tried Mando, highly recommended by Stephen M. Sipple, by the way.
I'm not joking.
We've got a great deal. So they have the Mando starter pack. It's already heavily discounted. You get 4 items in this pack. We're going to take $5 additional off the already discounted price. If you use the promo code Husker at shopmando.com, you get a stick deodorant, a spray, 2 more additional items as well with that. $5 off at shopmando.com, promo code Husker, plus free shipping. comes out to be 40% off if you were just to put these 4 items in your cart and buy it yourself. So it's a great deal. There's no strings attached. You're not signing up for some sort of subscription or something. It's an awesome way to try out Mando. And when you see Steve at our next Zipline Live event, you guys can talk Mando.
Yeah, there's nothing crazy about this. It's just a good it's just an extraordinary product. I mean, it's simple. I mean, it's really good.
All right. Well,
I wouldn't say if it wasn't.
Thanks to Mando. And I mentioned, Robin, we are going to have another Zipline Live show.
Let's go.
And we're officially re-upped for another year with Zipline. So we're going to be on a similar schedule as we were a year ago. We'll have the spring show, a post wrap-up at the new West O tap room that's going to reopen. It's been revamped, remodeled.
God.
And we're going to kick that thing off as the opening act of the grand opening weekend.
I'm excited to see it. I used to go there when it was just like the original brewery, and they just had this little tap room with a little bar, a couple tables.
Really?
And then
West O?
Yeah, way out on
You were
West
out there
O.
on West O?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So we'll
the
head
OG.
out, but then we're going to do we'll do a preseason show like we did last year. That was the one that kind of blew everyone's expectations away when 300 people showed up to a room that could fit 20. And then we'll have a show again on the bye week, and then another show at the bowl game like we did last year. So we've got kind of a 4-show schedule. We'll do a Zipline again, starting again here on May 1st at the tap room, and we'll have more information as we get closer to that.
I'm parched right now. A Zipline would taste good.
Ooh,
It's
Zipline
1
would-
o'clock. I mean,
They just they just
$1.30.
tapped the can opener brand again. That's
Okay.
that's their summer kind of refresher beer.
Excellent summer drink.
It's an excellent summer beer.
I'm sorry, what's it called?
Can opener. It's got kind of an orange flavor. It's light.
Okay.
It's really good.
Easy drinking.
Easy summer beer. But I want to talk some more offensive storylines as we kind of get to the end of the spring here. And I think the biggest thing, we haven't learned a ton of new things other than, I will say this, everybody I talk to is excited about this offense. I think a lot of people see the big picture of what this unit can be and all the parts, especially at quarterback with Dylan Raiola.
Yes. Now I'm going to go back. We have learned a little bit. We can pretty much name the top 6 receivers, right? And we know the running back situation more than we knew it going in. I mean, as far as the top 6 receivers, Dane Key, Isaiah Hunter,
Ja'Cory
Barney. We always do this. That's 3.
Cortez Mills, Isaiah Mosey,
Bonner.
And Bonner.
But
we know that now.
But then you have like Demetrius Bell.
And you have a guy like Keelan Smith and Quinn Clark. Where do they fit? Probably right on the cusp of the rotation.
Or
right?
where's Jaden Doss, who played as a freshman?
That's one. By the way, portal. I hate to speculate, but I thought maybe there could be some Doss movement.
There's your list. Megan got the list pulled up here for you.
But so we know that we've been able to ascertain pretty much the top 6. The running back situation last week, I would say, crystallized in a lot of ways. We kind of knew it, but we never heard him talk about the definitive number 2, Quentin Ives.
It's Ives.
Yeah, definitive. They made it very clear. We know who the 1 is. And then they said behind him, these guys, we have to get Mekhi Nelson. We have to get Jamarian Parker. We got to get Connor Booth. We got to decide. We got to get those guys going because they're going to be needed. They're going to be needed.
Then Shamar Brown's name got mentioned a few days later.
Well, but for now, as the roster stands, I agree. It's fairly clear. I mean, quarterback picture seems pretty obvious. Wide receiver, running back, tight end. I mean, I guess the Carter Nelson situation is still, I guess, a question.
And Mac Markway.
Yeah, and Markway. But I mean, you know who the core group is going to be there.
We know
offensive line. I mean, there's a couple questions about guys coming off injuries, but for the most part, I think you know who the top contenders are to push for that top 6 or 7 rotation too.
True, but there was news in that regard. It sort of happened kind of organically, but Justin Evans, going into the spring, we didn't know he was going to be the center. It's pretty clear who the center is now.
And Pritchett, we think, will be the left tackle. Right guard is Spindler. And then Latoski, probably right tackle.
I think that's what they want.
As of now. Yes.
And then may the best man win left guard. And I wouldn't sleep on Turner Corcoran.
I wouldn't either. Then who's in that picture?
They like Gatula. Gatula's a good player. I mean, Teddy is coming back. I mean, they have options.
I mean, they just said Grant Seagren could be a starter. You know, I mean, Sam Sledge is still Sam Sledge. Like he's in that conversation.
Well, what about Grant Bricks? What about
Brock
Tamua?
Knutson? Like,
I think a couple of those guys are a year away, Sean.
Yeah,
those guys you named.
When you look at that chart there, the redshirt freshman and the true sophomore group, that's how it should look. I mean, look at that. There's so many quality, young players now on the bottom 3 shelves there.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're right. I think my biggest takeaway the last couple of weeks has been we learned a lot. We know the personnel pretty well right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's some questions up front, but I don't have any major questions.
Yeah, compare that to previous springs. We
Right.
didn't know who the quarterback was going to be,
right,
or what the wide receiver rotation was going to look like. The
yeah.
clarity we've gained already.
Yeah.
A week before the spring game.
It's pretty good.
I mean, that's about as far ahead as we've ever been.
Well, it's where it should be in year 3.
Yeah.
I think in year 1 and year 2, you're moving in so many things.
Yep.
In your learning. I think in year 3, you have a little bit better handle on the whole picture here.
Yep, for sure. There's a few questions, but by and large, I feel comfortable with what I know about the offense.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk defense, we'll talk John Butler, and more. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. Back here on the Husker Online Show, Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washedez. We're going to talk some defense. But before we get to that, this segment of the Husker Online Show is brought to you by who?
Larson Motors, car dealership, Nebraska City. If you're looking for a new vehicle, how about a new experience at Larson Motors? Larson Motors, it's one of the Midwest's only dealerships with all the major brands in one location. Finding your new Chevrolet, GMC, Hummer, Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram never has been easier. So start your new experience today at LarsonMotorGroup.com. That's Larson with an O. Or at Larson Motors in Nebraska City. Larson Motors, real people,
real
deals, baby. All right, let's talk some defense.
Okay, baby.
And I want to because this was kind of what really captivated you. John Butler laid out kind of the 3 real strengths.
Sean's making fun of me at this point.
This has been your big approach all spring.
No, it hasn't.
You try to drill in and say, tell me your 3 biggest strengths.
The 3 pillars.
3 pillars.
It's not at
Toughness,
all.
discipline.
No.
Execution.
All I did was, here's what it is. I said, what have you been pleased about this spring? And I was sort of surprised that he's hesitant, John Butler, the new defensive coordinator. He's hesitant to identify players for good reason. I mean, what he's doing is he's telling these kids every day, we got to play good team defense. It's got to be collective, and it does. We've all watched a lot of football. If they're not playing as a unit, you can do well, but it's when you see a defense playing as a unit, that's what he wants. And if he's singling out guys all the time, it kind of goes against his in-house narrative. So I kind of appreciate where he's coming from. And then I appreciated yesterday, Tuesday, when I asked him, what have you liked about your defense? And he just whipped off 3 things that I had no idea. I will read it to you, wise guys. They play, he said, I like our man coverage. Okay, that's good.
That is good.
Because that wide-ranging ramifications. Put another guy in the box.
Sure.
I mean, man cover. If you're good at man, there's ripple.
Send an extra blitzer.
Yeah, send extra blitzers. By the way, that was the second thing. We're a good blitzing team. We're a good blitzing. Huh. That's interesting. So who do you think of? Probably Vincent Shavers, right? You probably think
McCullough.
McGahee. McCullough.
Deshaun McCullough.
Shavers.
Yeah. Vincent Shavers.
Right.
Yeah, right. You probably think of
Singleton.
Yeah. So, okay, you're a good blitzing team. That's a little meat on the bone. And then the third thing was he likes their development a lot up front on defense. I wondered if he threw that in because he feels like he
needs it to develop.
And he needs to bolster those guys' confidence. But I thought I did genuinely myself appreciate that he just came out with 3 things Oh, wow. You're good at man. Good.
The man thing stood out to me the most, just because, like you said, the ripple effect that comes off of that and what that can do for a defense. If you are a strong man coverage team and you feel good about your perimeter guys being able to lock down guys one-on-one, suddenly that opens up everything for the middle of your defense. And all these versatile safeties that you have, you can do some different things with them as opposed to just dropping back and providing help because your guys can't cover on the outside. So I agree with you. That had some meat on the bone there, and then it tied in with the blitzing thing because when you can cover well on the perimeter, suddenly you can open up that blitz practice.
Sierra Wright, when you look at him, like I think he's going to make a big jump because people forget he didn't get to Lincoln.
Yeah, when did he get to Lincoln?
Late July.
God, that's late.
And he comes in that Illinois game and starts making plays that changes the game.
They won't say it, but he has to be a starter, right? I mean, if
Ndamukong Suh was returning right now, they wouldn't say he's a starter.
I don't know.
I mean, it is like you said, they're not like just simply like, hey, tell me more about Andrew Marshall. I asked that, like, he's a newcomer, decorated player at the FCS level. How has he transitioned? And they won't go there. They won't. John.
He just said we're glad to have him.
Yeah, they're just very careful about doing the big, praise of a player. Because as you said off air to me, at a place like Nebraska, that can get turned into a lot of headlines.
Yeah, and what happens is, I'm not saying it's always this way, but it can be misleading. Because then you guys, I'm sure this has happened to you guys. What people say to me, hey, they're really talking about player X a lot. And what I often have said over the years, well, that's because they're asked about it.
Directly asked about him.
Directly asked about a certain player. So that certain player gets all these headlines, and it becomes this sort of narrative when there might be three other guys playing as well or better, but they just weren't asked about.
And then the portal implication too. If you have some like third string guy that you're going out of your way, like gassing up, like suddenly schools are going to take note of that and be like, hey, I know you're not going to start at Nebraska.
Right.
What do you think about what we have over here?
So yeah, it's different now.
There's layers to it now.
Yeah, there is. It's different.
Yeah, I think Williams Nwaneri is still one of the most intriguing pieces that if they can get him to be the player that people thought he was coming out of high school, like, and what is that definition of that? Can they get him to be a productive edge pass rusher at this level?
That's it. That's what you want.
Because if you can get him to be that kind of player, which I still think is an if,
it is an if,
like 8 sacks or something like that, that changes everything.
It changes everything. We've seen it here, though, the impact it can have with Randy Gregory. We saw it. And we saw you not only see it in the sack production, you saw how offenses slanted their protection toward him. It was incredible. You could see it. And that's kind of helps a lot.
Suddenly tight ends and running backs have to stay in the block.
Yep.
Bo took so few JUCO guys, but all of them ended up being good.
Not all.
Levante.
Remember they brought that kid in from a pass rusher from Illinois, Chicago, whatever. He didn't work out, but most of them hit.
Oh yeah, I'm talking Gregory, Dejon Gomes, Levante David, Jamarcus Hardrick.
Jeez, those are
a lot of hits.
Brandon Kinney.
Those are hits.
A lot of hits.
Brandon Kinney. I'm glad you mentioned. He gets lost in conversation. He was a bear on the outside.
He's coaching high school football in Omaha.
Great dude.
Great guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I look at that era, like Randy Gregory broke his leg and they still like knew how good he was going to be. And he led the Big Ten in sacks in his first year in the conference.
He's a bear.
And he didn't train in Lincoln all summer. Did not train. He showed up here on fan photo day.
Yeah. I remember I was standing by Sean. I think it was the first practice we were able to see. And we were all watching, let's see what Gregory looks like. And Sean said, God, it looks like a guy that got lost on his way to an SEC school.
Don't you remember when they played Georgia?
That's what he looked like.
In the Gator Bowl? And that Georgia tight end kind of ruffled a lot of feathers. We were in that. It was like a train station that we had that press conference at in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And you could smell the cigarette smoke in there still. It was weird. But this Georgia tight end's like, yeah, that 44, he's the one guy, he looks like he's an SEC player. And it was like a kind of a slap at the Big Ten at that time.
There's some truth to it, though.
It wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
Nebraska won the game.
Yep.
Against Georgia.
Oh, yeah. That was the Anunwa long 99-yard pass play.
Yeah. Sometimes it ain't always a beauty contest.
Nope.
Those Nebraska teams were, we probably didn't appreciate them like we should have in retrospect.
When they could just go and beat Georgia in Jacksonville.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is like a home stadium to Georgia.
Yeah.
Yep.
You go back and watch those tapes. I always talk about this. You go back and watch that YouTube, and you just think, wow, there's some talent. I mean, think about that defense.
They had good lines and all conference level players.
Malik Collins, Valentine, Gregory.
They
Like,
had
I don't
draft
think we
picks.
appreciate like Garrison and Barney Cotton, the job they did at the lines.
100.
That's what I'm
the
saying. They had
development.
good lines.
I mean, when they were even short, they would pull like out a guy like Sung Hong Choi.
And it worked.
and he was good.
And then like you're like they pull
And it
out this
works.
like Korean foreign exchange student that landed at Lincoln Christian who was probably 6 foot tall.
I know. He's not your size.
And he freaking like
Yeah, he was a dog.
was good.
He worked.
Like
It worked.
you didn't really appreciate like Spencer Long.
Yeah.
How they did
now
that.
hold on. Spencer Long was all big.
But how they just created a Spencer
Yeah, that
Long.
came out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah,
and all of a
true.
sudden became
Yeah.
an all conference player.
Yeah, good. Yeah, for sure. He was a dude, though. That
Yes, he
turned out
was.
to be a dude. I mean,
And Brent Quallys and
oh yeah,
Searles. I mean, they
guys were good.
Justin Jackson.
Justin Jackson. Yeah,
So it's just
we
name,
didn't. I mean,
name
I
Bo
don't mind
Pelini
saying
offensive
it.
lineman.
I don't mind saying it. It's okay to say it. We didn't know how good we had it. We just didn't.
Well,
Now we know, and
now
we'll
we
better
know.
appreciate it when it looks like that again.
All right. When we come back, Abby Barmore will join us on the show. We'll take your questions in the mailbag. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. We're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washett, and always adding the sanity to the program. Abby Barmore joins the table.
It's a low bar today. No offense.
Wow.
It's not wrong.
What do you got, Abby? We
Okay.
got the mailbag. Where are you going
First
first?
question: which position groups does Nebraska need to focus on in the portal? I know we talked about running back earlier.
I think D line is always a priority to
Yes.
find bodies, but the problem is at this stage in the game, who are you going to find that's going to be in shape and ready to go?
Mhm.
Hard. It's a tricky one.
Because you need to find like a well-trained, well-fed guy that's ready to go, not somebody that shows up looking like me or you showing up.
Speak for yourself there, Porky. Hey, now listen, I'm joking, Sean. HR.
have been
Oh, goodness.
HR is
Yeah.
all over me.
A complaint is
I'm going to go to the HR office.
You are the HR
That's
office.
me.
Okay, so that big thing's really every team in the country.
Right.
Right.
Like that's the answer every offseason for every team. You always want bigs on both sides of the line. But so the next answer would be running back. I mean, just because of the lack of proven production behind Emmett Johnson. We talked about Marty Brown potentially being on the radar. So like I think that's probably the obvious answer there.
5'11", 218 pounds.
You don't really need any secondary help.
Mm-mm.
If there was a linebacker that presented himself,
What
you don't
kind of
need
linebacker?
a jack, though. You don't
Yeah, I was
need
gonna
a jack.
say, like, do you need a traditional like inside guy?
No.
Like, what are you looking for?
I don't think you do. Based on what Butler said on Tuesday, they're too deep at the two linebacker positions. We know who the jacks are. You love them, right? McGahee, McCullough, and Ochoa.
Ochoa.
Close.
Close.
So, yeah, I think it's Biggs, and I running back.
Yeah, like tight end, they're fine. I mean, even the Carter, even with that, I mean, as long as Harburg and Lindenmeyer, they got two good ones right there.
You know what? This conversation points up something that they're in pretty good shape roster wise. It's just that the missing element is you need a little depth up front. Also, is there some elite guys?
Mm-hmm.
Is there some is like Vincent Shaver's ready to be elite? Is McGahee ready to be elite? Can McCullough come in and be elite?
Yeah.
Who's elite?
A lot of
Guarneri.
these conversations are about projecting guys to take that next step.
Yeah.
How many of them are actually going to take that next
Yeah,
step?
you need somebody to go and be like someone you pay to see, right? Like David was, like
Mhm.
Gregory was, like Amir was. Somebody that you're like, you can't miss the game because you want to see them play. Who's that? I don't know.
Next question.
Okay. Do you think Nebraska can get to 10 wins? And which player outside of Dylan Raiola is the most critical in making that happen?
I hesitate to say something like 10 because that's a playoff team right now. If you're 10 if you're 10-2 in the Big Ten, especially as the playoff expands, you are in the playoffs.
Are they ready to win 10?
I'm more in the camp of like, they won 7 last year, so can they get to 8 or 9 this year in that window?
I think we're in that camp.
That's a little bit more realistic, but the opener's big. But then those first 2 home games, I mean,
Mhm.
and I feel like that will really write the script for the whole rest of the way. You have Michigan and Michigan State back to back in Lincoln with a bye week in the middle. That is going to be massive.
Mm-hmm. Massive too it's the same old conversation, but what really to me what college football is about right now is the ability to win close games. Because most teams, not all, but most teams, if they're going to get to 10, they're going to have to win. I'll say several close games, 4 or 5 probably really close games.
Yeah, and how many close games did Nebraska lose last year, and they still won 7? So I think it's certainly within the realm of possibility. If you get hot and the ball starts bouncing your way, sure, 10's on the table, but I'm not ready to go there yet. They haven't even come close to sniffing 10
Make
wins
the ball
in a
bounce
long
your way.
time.
Yeah.
What a great home schedule in terms of teams coming to Lincoln, though.
Yeah.
Michigan, USC,
Oh, it's beautiful.
Iowa.
It's beautiful.
And then you go to Arrowhead. I mean, that's like a home game to me. I mean, that's going to be awesome. I mean, just the way I love the schedule. Look, there's great teams on it, but it's a great schedule of teams to watch.
And what was the second part? The player that makes that happen?
Besides Dylan.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dane Key is big.
Emmett Johnson's big.
So they have a true number 1 receiver because last year they didn't. Like I hesitated to call Ja'Cory Barney or Jamal Banks or Naor a true number 1.
Good point. They didn't really have that. They didn't have one the year before either. Right?
Like they were products of kind of the system.
Mm-hmm.
Like the true number 1 is like everybody knows he's going to get the ball and he still makes the play. Like when Iowa went to TJ Hawkinson on the tight end play when it looked like, where they threw it on that, was it 4th down?
100%. You got the right play and the right player. I just think you botched the name. 100%. They had that guy. It often was a tight end at Iowa. It's Laporte. It's that guy. That when they needed that play,
and you knew it was going to.
They called a timeout. Iowa called a timeout. We're in the press box. You know where they're going, and they still got it.
Guy's just going to go win the jump ball and go get it.
Yeah, in that case, it was a low ball. He had to slide.
Go get the ball.
Yeah. Remember that though? Caught it off the turf, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, for an offense that has really struggled, like that's the separator. You got your quarterback in theory, but who's going to be the playmaker around him? Like who's going to be the go-to? It can't just be Dylan. Like he's got to have guys step up and make plays and make those 50-50 catches that they didn't make nearly enough of last year.
All right. Next question.
Okay. Who's one defensive player that isn't getting much attention now, but has a chance to make some noise?
On the chat, I said Ochoa.
Mm-hmm.
Because he'd be like I think you'd technically be the 3rd jack, but I could see him being disruptive as a pass rusher.
It's a hard thing because I feel like you take a big step back when you get out of like the top 15 players.
That's the thing. It's hard.
And then
but there's guys in that top 15 that aren't getting talked about all that much. I think we both said Amari Sanders. Like I think he's got a chance to win the starting job.
I think so.
And he's the guy they were really high on as a true freshman. I mean, he's got a chance. You don't think he has a chance?
No, I do.
Yeah.
I do. I just wish I knew more.
Right. But he's not getting talked about much.
What about Javen Wright if he's just healthy for 12 weeks? He's given them something, but what if he could play like a full season wire to wire?
Yeah. I mean, the length.
He's practicing for the first time.
Yeah, he's 25 years old. He does.
You know what, Abby?
He is
I got him just by a tad bit.
Hey, Javen Wright is a vicious hitter. I mean, so yeah, maybe him.
All right, final question.
Okay. With Husker Athletics having an auction this next weekend, if you could choose a throwback jersey of any player in Husker history, what jersey would it be?
Go ahead, guys.
I don't know if it would even exist, but get your hands on like a Tom Novak jersey just because of the history of it.
Oh, it's a good pick.
He's the only player that was a 4-time first team all-conference player.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why his jersey number was the first ever number where it was fully retired. You can't wear it. So that one, being the history buff I am, would be a really cool one.
Sean's a history buff
of the program.
Right.
I mean, what's the running back's name from Grand Island? I don't know why. The one that almost won the Heisman.
Don't do this to me.
Darn it.
Yeah, I know. It's gonna kill you. Just get it. Just type in.
You guys keep talking.
What's your answer?
Mine's a little obscure, but
Good.
There's a personal sort of reason for it. It's Ken Clark. He was a great running back, and I went to school with him, and he was a great running back. He gets overlooked in those conversations all the time. But we'd studied Abel Hall. I knew Ken, and I loved him. And he's a great dude, and he's a great back. I'd love to have his jersey. Yeah, Omaha kid.
I would probably go. So when I first moved to Nebraska in like the summer of '92 or whatever it was,
Yes.
like I was trying to, like, all my friends were Nebraska fans, so I was trying to get caught up. And the first guy that I like latched onto was Calvin Jones.
Wow.
So give me like an authentic Calvin Jones, RIP,
44.
Like that was the guy that was like, whoa, this guy's super cool.
Oh yeah.
Nebraska football's pretty
Yeah.
cool. And then all of
Wow.
a sudden it took off from there. So like if there was a guy that like, and I remember playing Bill Walsh college football, just doing the student body left, student body right with Calvin
Nice.
Jones, and just running
Pitch?
for like, yeah. Oh, I run for like 400 yards. in a
Pitch
game.
left, pitch
Yes.
right. Oh.
Yes. So yes, give me a Calvin Jones, authentic Husker
Pitch
jersey,
left,
red.
pitch right.
Bobby Reynolds is the running back, and I don't know how I blanked on that name in the midst of the show, but he was runner-up or third place, I think, for the Heisman as a sophomore.
Mm-hmm. He was a star.
His records, a lot of them stood until Reggie Bush broke them, like his last records. I mean, that because he was also the kicker.
Yeah.
So his average points scored per game was like an NCAA record forever because he scored so many points. Every point that Nebraska scored, he scored pretty much.
Bobby Reynolds.
He had 22 touchdowns in 1950 on top of all the field goals and PATs.
You're forgiven for blanking on his name. We're doing this on the fly. Sometimes names just don't come to your head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he never finished out his career because he got hurt. Like they ran their training camps and they would go Junction Boys, full crazy contact training camps. And he got severely injured in these training camps where he never recovered. Like the 1950 Bobby Reynolds was the best version that we ever saw.
Wow. So yeah, when you say Nebraska, you know, you have that conversation. Nebraska used to be tailback U. You'd almost say Nebraska was tailback U.
Oh yeah.
And kind of, you'd almost say he started it. You know.
Yeah,
Was he
but
a tailback.
There was a period though where they weren't producing the 1,000-yard like it really got. And Tony Davis was a 1,000-yard back.
So it got going maybe with Davis.
But then it really got going with Rozier.
Okay.
Like
in the early 80s.
Yeah, once Rozier, they went on a historic run.
Yeah, they weren't. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not an idiot. They were not tailback U in 1973 when Tony.
The offense was different.
Right.
And they switched into a downhill I formation, and they just blew up at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, once they switched, and Osborne would take, I mean, they just have a stable scholarship running backs. They didn't recruit defensive backs in the 80s on scholarship. And for a better part of the early 90s, all the DBs were like walk-ons.
It's kind of a tricky conversation, Sean, because Kenny was in the 70s, Jeff Kenny, and they were running I then.
A pro style, though.
Yeah.
It wasn't an option.
Okay.
So they ran a Osborne.
Okay.
Osborne helped switch this offense to what they ended up running.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a different, what Devaney ran to what Osborne ran, it was different because the quarterbacks were different too. I mean, Turner Gill evolutionized the QB position. I mean, he was one of the first great dual threat quarterbacks in college football.
Yep. Oh, think about what he would have been like today, Turner Gill.
Well, it was the equalizer to help Osborne beat Oklahoma.
Yeah.
He couldn't beat Oklahoma.
Yeah. Turner was interesting too because he could really run it. And his passing percentage wasn't great. I don't think he was ever over 54%. But if you watched him throw, oh my God, he had a beautiful.
But yeah, the deep ball. Think how many deep balls they threw.
Yeah, he could
because you worried about the run so much.
He could spin it like, he was like he could have been maybe a major league shortstop. You know, he had a great arm.
All right, fun discussion. When we come back, we'll close the show with some basketball and transfer portal talk. You're listening here to the HuskerOnline Show. Final segment of the HuskerOnline Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washington talking basketball as the portal pieces continue to be put together for Fred Hoiberg. They added 5 new players, and all 5 have signed now officially. Correct, Robin?
They haven't announced all of them yet, but
who hasn't been announced?
The Cooper kid and
the Cooper kid,
Will Cooper.
Will Cooper from Air Force.
I think he's the only one that hasn't officially been announced with a press release, but it's done.
So they got 5 guys in, and you were under the assumption that one more spot, but that might have changed.
Yeah, so they have, I mean, based off the guys that have announced they're staying or going or whatnot, after the most recent commitment, they were at 14 of their 15 spots. So next year, you're basically got 15 spots, and it's not a matter of scholarship walk-on. All of them are basically scholarship players. So you get 15 total players. You don't have to have 15, but the max is 15. So they had 14 guys on the roster. So we were operating as if they had 1 spot open, but it sounds like there might be 2 available, and where that extra spot is coming from has not been announced yet, but I hope to get some clarity on that later this week. So either if it's 1 or it's 2, the one need that they have to address is an athletic 4-man, someone that's going to give them a little bit of bounce, a little bit of strength, and some of the things defensively that you got from Juwan Gary, and another guy that can finish at the rim, and just give you some toughness right now, because they got bigs, but a lot of them are kind of more, maybe you'd call them on the finesse side. They just need a little bit of a dog mentality in there, which is why the number 1 guy on their board for that spot is Utah transfer forward Ezra Asar. He's 6'8", 238 pounds, senior, transfer from Utah. And, I compare him a lot to what Nebraska had with Derek Walker. Like, he's not going to give you any sort of shooting, maybe outside of 10 feet of the rim, but his ability to finish at the rim, especially with just dunks.
He's probably more of a high flyer than.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's a more athletic Derek Walker, and probably a little bit better of a perimeter shooter, but not much. But like that type of guy that can do back to the basket, can beat you off the dribble, and then once he gets to the rim, he's finishing 9 times out of 10. So that is kind of the profile of player that they're looking for with that 1, maybe 2 open spots. That
he visited. Where are they at with him?
Yeah, so he visited this past weekend. It was his first visit since entering the portal. Then he did another visit to USC, and as of showtime, the thought was he was going to go see Villanova on Wednesday. Still have not seen any clarification if he's made it to campus for that visit yet. Either way, it sounds like the hope is a decision will come one way or the other by the end of the week. So Nebraska felt good where they stood after the visit, but if he's seeing 2 other schools before decision time and his time in Lincoln, things can sometimes change. But I think Nebraska felt good about where it was coming out of the visit. It's just a matter of what potentially could have changed seeing USC and then potentially seeing Villanova.
I watched him, Rob. You could use 3 of him. I mean, not the same lineup, but I mean, he is.
He gives them an element they don't have right now, just with his athleticism and his physicality and just kind of those toughness type plays. Yeah. When he gets the ball close to the rim, he's going to score. I mean, like, he's going to dunk it, and he's got, some skill enough to where he's not just a dunker. Like, he can finish with one hand or the other. Like, he can do a lot of different things.
Oh, he's a beauty.
That gives him a lot of just fills a lot of voids they have right now with their front court. And then all of a sudden you're looking at a front court with Rink and Oogie at the 5, and then Berke and Ezra at the 4.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good
and if you
4-man front court.
Yeah, and if you had Jamarcus Lawrence and that kid from Minneapolis,
Kendall Blue,
that's not a bad lineup.
It's not. Kendall Blue might be probably the guy that's not being talked about enough. Like, I'm high on him. I think that he might end up, maybe outside of Price Sanford, being the most important portal addition that they've had, because you look at everything he brings to the table, all of it is what Bryce Williams did last year. Yep. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be first team's record-breaking type player, but he's 6'6". He's a really good defender. He can play 1 through 3. He can shoot. He's a 40% shooter from 3-point range. He can finish at the rim with either hand. I mean, he can do pretty much a little bit of everything, just like Bryce did. And so if you're looking for that player, the big question was, well, how are they going to replace Bryce Williams? I would start that conversation with Kendall Blue.
Robin, do you the finish for Nebraska, the way they finished, do you think that has had any impact at all with this portal run, or were they going to go on this run no matter what?
I mean, I think that they were going to get guys regardless, but I think just being able to, the big question was how they were going to recruit when they're out in Vegas and can't host visitors. Well, the reality is 90% of the stuff you're doing is by Zoom, and it's all virtual anyway. So they were able to pair all of those Zoom calls they were doing with like, oh, hey, we're going to sign off for now, but tune in. We're going to tip off here in, 4 hours. Come watch us play on national television. And then they watched them go beat Georgetown. They watched them go beat Boise State, a potential tournament team. And so the conversations that they were able to have on Zoom, they could directly carry over and say, see, this is what we're talking about. And oh, by the way, they just played their 4 best offensive games of the season just to coincide with that. So I do think it helped. Was it the defining tipping point? I don't know, but it certainly helps sell guys. I know if you're weighing, things that you don't know much about Nebraska, and you're able to take what the coach is telling you and all the video cut-ups and things like that, and then immediately carry it over into an actual game that you're watching live on national television, that certainly helped. There's no doubt about it.
2 other important things: routing number and checking account number.
Yes. Yeah, those are 2 other very important factors.
As you can't do what they're doing without money.
Yeah, and so that's one of the benefits of the rev share. Like, they're going to get some more money that way, and I do think they've had a slight uptick in their just NIL contributions. So they're working with a lot more money than they did before. The problem is that so is everybody else. You got Indiana and Maryland, they're pushing 8 figures, with their budget. Nebraska's not there. So like they're better off than they were a year ago, which allows them to get in conversations maybe with guys that they couldn't have before, but they're also playing catch up with guys in their own league, with schools in their own league.
You know what? I know they don't have a Bryce. It'd be hard to. But when you talk about,
nobody knew Bryce was going to be Bryce when he was the 6th man at Charlotte.
Right. Well, we're talking about Kendall Blue. That's a good score. I could see 12 a game easily. Not easily, but I wouldn't be surprised. And then we don't even talk about Sanford. Those guys could shoot it.
He was the number 1 player on their board for 2 classes now. 23, he was the number 1 high school recruit on their board. And then coming out of the portal, he was their number 1 portal recruit off the board. So, they've loved him for a long time.
He can score.
And they think that he's more than just a spot-up shooter. At Iowa, he was just kind of a corner 3 guy, which because of the way that lineup was, that's the way they played. I think they want to do more with him. I think they want him to be a more versatile player than just a catch and shoot.
All right.
And Blue can defend.
Yes.
Blue can defend.
He can defend 1 through 3.
Yeah.
All right. When we that wraps up the show, but lots to follow with Robin in the portal, as there's nobody that covers. I mean that nobody is on this like Robin.
Well, geez, thanks.
That's a little pressure though.
I know.
So you better.
Yeah, you better not. No slacking. But we're almost done. 1 spot, maybe 2, and then we're done.
About a week left of spring ball as well. Transfer portal news. So make sure you get on HuskerOnline, as we will keep you up to date with everything here with the portal and everything else going on in the world of college football.